right, welcome back to the show. I know did a change of scenery today. It's too nice out to not do this outside, and but we have James Aquilone who's been here a couple times before, and he has a new Kickstarter that he's doing. So definitely want to always we're always interested in what he's doing. So let's bring him in, find out what he's been up to, and about this new project.
Hello, how you
Yeah,
doing?
welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a few times.
Yeah. I think the last time we talked, it was about I forget exactly what, but it was the Doctor Who-ish type book
Oh
you
yeah,
were doing.
Dr. Omega comic
Yeah.
book we did earlier this year.
How did it, well, I mean, before we get started, how did that kind of uh, turn out?
That did really well. Actually, that was we did the campaign for the second issue of the Omega 11, and it did better than the first one. We got a lot more backers, so it's nice to see that the fandom around that comic's actually growing. So that's cool.
But we're here to talk about some about monstrous and the I guess it's the kaiju issue. So. For anybody who hasn't seen, or one of our previous interviews, kind of give us a brief recap of your history as a comic book reader and as a creator.
Well, I'm the owner of Monstrous Books or Monstrous Publishing, whatever you want to call it. No, we obviously specialize in monsters and horror fiction, and we've been around now for three years, and we've been doing Kickstarters at least 2 3. We've been trying to increase that every year. We were trying to do 4 this year, but I think we might only get to 3 this year. So yeah, we publish Kolchak, the Night Stalker. That's our biggest book at the moment. We also do the Omega 11 comic book series, and I do prose anthologies like Classic Monsters Unleashed and Shakespeare Unleashed, and we got a lot more coming out the next few months. So things are getting bigger and bigger.
And what about as a comic book reader, and I guess as a kaiju fan, because I mean it is the 70th anniversary of Godzilla, so great timing for this project.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like every comic book publisher has a Godzilla series out right now, which is kind of cool. So I've been buying all those. So I'm really excited about the Marvel Godzilla destroys the Marvel universe. So I've been buying all those comics. DC also had it was Godzilla versus DC. I think that was
Yep.
last year.
Oh
And
no, they're doing their like
doing this again.
second series of that
Yeah, and
crossover.
then you have I think Image is also doing a Godzilla.
I think no, I think it's IDW.
IDW, yeah, right. Yeah, so I think they're doing a couple of series because they were doing like it was like Godzilla versus like or destroys like Boston and different cities, and then
Yeah.
a series too. So I've been just eating up all that stuff, and it's really cool. But I really like the Marvel one, the Godzilla destroys the Marvel universe. So, but yeah, we're
Did you
getting
read?
Godzilla.
So did you read any of the ones where it's like Godzilla versus the Fantastic Four and
Yes, yeah. Yeah, because they had all the one shots leading up to the series. So I think I read the Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. I didn't get to the others, but I have them.
Hmm. So let's not talk about somebody else's books. Let's talk about your books or your book.
We can talk about more.
Um,
That's fine. So yeah,
so tell me,
it was a great time to obviously do a Godzilla thing. If we were ever going to do it, and I wanted to do a kaiju themed book or magazine or whatever for a while. So I was like, oh, this is perfect timing.
So I know it's an anthology. So who are you working with, and how did you kind of go about figuring out who you wanted to contribute to the book?
We have a lot of people involved in this issue, probably the most people ever involved in any of my projects, because we're doing comics, we're doing at least one prose short story, and we're doing articles. So we're kind of like covering all our bases. So I'm writing two of the comics, and I'm working with Dave Schwartz on one, Evie Cantanza on another. Dave I've never worked with before, but I really liked his work. I've seen he's done some stuff with Bad Bug, so I wanted to work with him for a while. So I thought he's doing the Conga versus Gorgo comic, so I thought his style would lend itself really well to it, and he did an amazing job on that. Evie I've worked with already now on like 3 or 4 projects, and he's doing a new character that I came up with called Mega Squatch. So I wanted to come out with an American type kaiju. So I figured a Bigfoot Sasquatch would be like the most American you can a monster or cryptid that you can get. So we made him we embiggened him, and now he's kaiju size. So that's Mega Squatch. And then we got Chris Wyatt. He's doing a third story that we just added to the project. But it was basically just finding people who love, the big monsters and people who are connected to that world too. We got Greg Cox doing a prose short story, and he wrote the novelization for Godzilla, the Godzilla 2014 movie. So
Mhm.
that was what I was just looking for. Like if anyone was connected to the Godzilla universe, or anyone who was, a big fan of kaiju, they were at the top of my list.
So what is it about Godzilla and the other, monsters that kind of draws you towards them?
First of all, obviously I love monsters, and I think that I guess you could say the bigger the better, right? Because when you
Hmm.
got Godzilla or King Kong, it's just a lot of fun, to see them either destroying some city or fighting, you know. And what I always loved about the old Godzilla movies was like, it turned into like WWF. Okay, I say I'm old school. WWF wrestling. Yeah, you'd have Godzilla would grab King Kong, and I just saw this in a drive-in. There's a drive-in not too far from me, and they did a Godzilla double feature. So there was Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla and Godzilla versus King Kong, the original from the '60s. Uh, so it's just a lot of fun seeing Godzilla swinging King Kong around and body slamming him. So how can you not love that? Especially if you're into monsters. You don't know, you wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see that with like Frankenstein beating up Dracula like that. You wouldn't see him into like a headlock. And so that's the fun that I think only the big monsters really get into.
Now, is Godzilla your favorite monster, or do you have another one that you kind of gravitate towards, or
Yeah, it's probably Godzilla and King Kong. That's a toss up there because I probably saw the original King Kong well before Godzilla, like when I was a kid, because that was like one of those type of movies. Those were movies that was always around. Those were the type of movies that would be playing on like Sundays. Nothing else was on TV, so the old black and white movies
Mhm.
would be on. So King Kong, and yeah, he's the original too. So you gotta give it up for King Kong.
So let's talk a little bit about the Kickstarter campaign itself. What are you offering for reward levels and for people that want to back the project?
Well, this is the third issue of Monstrous. So Monstrous started out, it was a magazine, and I wanted to make it a small magazine. It was a digest sized magazine, so it was 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and it was really made for the Kickstarters so that it would be an add-on to other projects. So if I had a project, I would say, all right, I can do another issue of Monstrous, and the idea was to build it up issue by issue through other Kickstarter campaigns. But then when I came up with the idea to do the Kaiju theme, I wanted to do a Kickstarter on its own for Monstrous, and it also seemed like a really good idea now because it's Kaijus and big monsters to make the magazine bigger too. So we're making the magazine a full size magazine, 8.5 by 11 inches. So I'm also going back to the first 2 issues and making them 8.5 by 11 issues. So we're reissuing them. So everything's going to be, big magazine. And so that's the magazine itself. And then we have 3 covers. So we have a Conga versus Gorgo cover, a Mega Squatch cover, and then we have the Godzilla limited edition cover. And that's an image of Godzilla from the 1954 original movie. And then we have a Conga versus Gorga challenge coin. We did. I actually have it right here. I have the Kolchak coin, and it came out really great. That's like this heavy, like nice thick coin. So I like doing these coins. So we do a coin. I'm trying to do a coin for every campaign. So we did one where Conga's on one side and Gorgo is on the other. And we have a Mega Squatch T-shirt, and we have prints. So it's got some fun stuff, and it's just like the Monsters. It's just a lot of fun.
So, how has this? I know we've kind of you've talked about you've done multiple ones, the Kickstarters. How has this one compared to other recent ones like the Dr. Omega?
So far, we've done 3 Kickstarters this year. We did Dr. Omega in the beginning of the year. In the middle of the year, we did a horror anthology called Darkest Depths, and now this is our 3rd. This one's so far doing better than the other 2. We're getting more backers, and this one's been going very smoothly. We had a pretty nice opening, and then it's kind of continued from there.
Mm-hmm.
So Kaiju, I think, very popular, but people really like this, and then and we got the Godzilla's in there. So we had some really great art too. So this is one, sometimes with like things like Dr. Omega, it's a little tougher because it's just 1 issue out of 4. So those kind of campaigns tend not to do, big money. But we did well, but because you don't have the complete story there. So here you have is complete. So those tend to do a little bit better. But they've all done pretty well this year. So like I said, I wanted to do. We're going to try to do more and more every year. And who knows? Next year maybe we'll do those 6 campaigns, but we'll see. I'm already doing too much, so I don't know.
So, how was it to get to write, Godzilla? Was there anything you kind of had to scale? I don't know, scale back, but with being a fan of the of Godzilla and the Kaiju's, is there anything that you found challenging that you wanted to make sure that you treated, and remain, respectful to what's come before?
Yeah. So one of the comics is Conga versus Gorgo, and Conga and Gorgo they were both movies that came out in the early 60s, but before the movies came out, there were comics. So they had the comics come out like a year before the movies. Charlton Comics came out with them, and somebody screwed something up in Charlton, so they never renewed the license or the copyright. So they both fell into the public domain, which is why we're able to do new Conga and Gorgo comics. If they were separate comics, they were separate movies. So my idea was to bring them together, and do a Conga versus Gorgo comic. And I've taken some of what occurred in the movies and then the origin, but kind of went in my own direction. So, and it's also updated because it's taking place in modern times. But it's pretty faithful to the movies. But they weren't great movies. They were pretty cheap and kind of they were like really rip-offs of Godzilla and King Kong. But they look, and then, well, in the movies, no, they look pretty terrible. So they look like very cheap versions of it. But they're both fun movies and kind of wild, and then certainly interesting within the whole kaiju history. So with that, it was just take from the source material and then kind of go off on and do your own thing with that.
So I know you said that you have a bunch of Godzilla books in your to read pile. Did you check out Tom Scholey's Godzilla and the Great Gatsby?
No.
Oh, you should do. That was really good. I mean, it, on the surface, you're thinking, how are you going to meld the Great Gatsby with Godzilla
Yeah.
and a bunch of other literary characters, but it works. And it's a really good story.
No, that sounds really interesting. Does he stomp the Great Gatsby?
No, Gatsby survives.
That would be fun. Yeah, they've done so. There are a lot of Godzilla comics, not just this year, but I've also been reading the original Marvel Godzilla comics from the 70s because they just came out with a big compilation of the original run. I think there was like 28 issues or 23 issues or something. They put it into one book, which is really cool too. So yeah, you have at least, which is interesting because actually Kanga and Gorgo had comics well before Godzilla, because the Marvel Godzilla comic didn't come out to like 1978, and the Kanga and Gorgo comics were like in 1960 and 1961. So they beat him by almost 20 years there. I don't know if they would be the first kaiju in comics, but maybe.
And I do know that after reading the Marvel ones that they did pull little bits and parts from the Marvel series in there too.
Oh, the original?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
so is there anything else about the project that maybe you wanted to make sure that people knew about, or that we didn't get to cover?
We have a few things. We have this really cool double-sided print. I'm probably gonna mess up his name, but Itaro Kinoshita. So he does a manga called Dinosaur Sanctuary, and he created this really cool kaiju out of like a giant crayfish. And so we're gonna have it's gonna be in the magazine, but we also did a double-sided print where on one side is the new version of his character, and on the back is his original design from, I think, like 2014. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, so we got Patrick Macias from the Essential Anime Guide, and I think he does a Kaiju Godzilla podcast, and he's writing a piece about Godzilla, the history of Godzilla. We got Samuel Satin doing a brief history of Kaiju, and David Hyde from Superfan Podcast. He's going to be writing an article for me. So
Cool.
Yeah, he's never actually participated in any of the campaigns. He's promoted them and gotten me press for them, but this is going to be the first time he's actually going to appear in one of my books. So I think that's going to be fun. So he's writing about the music in the kaiju movies.
Okay.
So, cool.
That sounds like a interesting. It is going to be an interesting take.
Yeah. I know. I've never really seen anything about that. So yeah, he's a huge Godzilla and kaiju fan. So he was really excited about this. So he really got behind it, and he helped me a lot in finding a lot of the artists and writers for this.
So, as we kind of wrap this up, you want to give one final pitch? Tell us a little bit. Do a final pitch for the campaign. How many days are left as of this recording?
Out of this recording, we have just 12 days left, and so far, the most popular cover is the Godzilla cover, as you would imagine, and that's a limited edition. We're only printing 500 copies, and we're getting kind of close to selling that out. So I would jump on this, and it's a very cool cover. So we could sell out, and it's not going to be available after the Kickstarter, most likely, if especially if we sell out. So we got that. I mean, we got Godzilla, we got Congo versus Gorgo. Mega Squatch, I think it's gonna be huge. I think that's gonna be something big one day. So it's really fun. And then we got Chris Doc Wyatt. He's writing a kaiju comic too, and that sounds like a lot of fun. It kind of turns everything around, and it's a planet of it's kaiju, but they're human sized. So it's a planet of human sized kaiju, and then they're attacked by a kaiju sized human.
Oh,
So
how
like
the turntables turn!
right, yeah. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. So so we have over 30 pages of comics. So you're gonna get like a full, size comic book within this magazine filled with tons of articles, and I'm really looking forward. And Greg Cox's pro short story is really cool too. It's a kaiju. This is really different. His kaiju is a mummy that they find like on some distant moon. So it's like a sci-fi mummy kaiju story. So we got really interesting stuff. So I mean, if you're a fan of kaiju or Godzilla, I think you have a lot of fun with this magazine.
And where can people find you on social media and find out more about your other stuff?
You can go to my website, monstrousverse.com or monstrousbooks.com, and we'll take you to the same place. You can find me on the James Aquilone anywhere. And I mean, all of my social media, you can find all of my social media on Monstrous, the Monstrous book site. It's all there at the top, and we have a link at the top that'll take you right to the campaign.
Very nice. Well, it's always a pleasure to chat with you, and best of luck as the campaign wraps up in the next week or so. And next time you have another project, we can chat about that one and what else you have on board.
There's a lot coming out. I can't talk about, I don't think, any of it other than, we'll be doing a third issue of Dr. Omega probably early next year. And I think we're gonna be breaking out. Oh, I forgot. There's a whole other magazine. I'm taking some of the comics from the first two issues of Monstrous and then compiling them into a comic.
Mm-hmm.
And we're adding a new story to that. And that character is called King Bond, like King Kong James Bond. He's a kaiju super. That'll be a new story in there. So, but
Shut
King
up and take
Bond,
my money.
is kind of connected to the Doctor Omega world, because in the Doctor Omega world, they're all mashups of different
Yeah.
characters. So we mashed up James Bond and King Kong. So it kind of, there's a connection there. So we connected Doctor Omega to this. So that comic's called Monstrous Presents. So that's gonna be another series I'm gonna do, which would be some reprints and some new stuff. And it's only $6, so that's an add-on for the campaign.
Alrighty, well, we'll definitely stay tuned to see what else you have coming down the pipeline. And like I said, it's always great chatting with you and catching up. You doing any shows this year or as
Yeah,
the rest
actually,
of the year?
I have a local con in Staten Island next Friday.
Hmm?
It's a St. Anne's Catholic school or something. And then November 1st, I'm at Pulp Adventure Con I think in Pennsylvania, which
Okay.
is cool. So it's all pulp stuff. That
Alrighty, well, thanks again for taking the time out of your day, and I'm glad we were finally able to get this. You
yes,
know,
I'm sorry.
nope. Well, no, it's fine, and no worries here on my end. So, but have a great day, and like I said, best of luck as the campaign wraps up.
Thank you. Thanks so much.